So welcome to the January meeting. Sorry for all the last minute changes and such, but appreciate your patience on that. Okay, so yeah, lots of announcements at that end. 7, we'll have Ethan Fenner from the UC Botanical Garden, and he's written a wonderful book. But first, we'll have the plant forum. We have a few folks that shared. Jeff, Charlotte, and myself. Jeffrey, are you on?
I don't see him.
Okay, so anyway, he's having all his wonderful outside orchids blooming. Looks like a dendrobium there, and I don't know what that is. That not also a dendrobium, the purple one there, or the pinky purple one?
Look, kind of looks like it, but I never have luck with dendrobium, so I shouldn't say anything.
This is also obviously his collection on his balcony or deck there. Does anybody know anything about
Orchid,
orchids that they want to chime in on some information on those?
Onocoetums. I mean, the orchids I have, they're disappearing because it's just too much work for me to take care of them. But the yellow, I think it's an Onocoetum. I don't even remember names of
Oh,
plants
could be.
anymore. But they're doing really fine, and the temps in my poly house are going down to close to 32. So I'm very surprised at how well they handle our cooler weather. And we're not seeing big temperatures, deep cold anymore out here in Danville at all.
And you haven't growing outside, or you said your shade,
In my shade house, but then I have some growing under the overhang outside, and I'm always amazed that they're not dead yet. But they're not. They're just handling the cold like champs.
Okay, good, good. Well, obviously in San Francisco, where Jeffrey is, it's doesn't get down to freezing, but I wonder if they need the change in temperatures in order to bloom. Does it again? And does anybody grow any of these? We'll go back here. Okay, then Charlotte, are you on?
I am.
You want to tell us about the like lavanderias you got?
Yeah, a couple lapigerias that I have that are blooming. The pink one I got at Peacock Nursery a few years ago, but it wasn't in flower when I got it, so I didn't know what I would be getting. So it's nice to see the flowers. Um, the other one came from UC Botanical Garden. It doesn't produce a lot of flowers, but it's always exciting when there is something.
The rosea, is that the one that normally grows in native in Chile, and then this other one's more of a hybridized or selection or something on that, right?
Probably a selection. I've seen on Facebook what do they call them? Coihue or something like that in Chile. And they're posting pictures of them all the time. So the colors vary on the different ones.
Y-
So I think the pink one is probably the most common. Kind of,
Actually, I think the redder colors are more common. I mean, when I went with Martin to Chile, in fact, we were just talking about it on Facebook recently. We stayed at a hotel, and the whole porch was covered in this vine, and it was blooming profusely. I couldn't believe it. I didn't have a camera to take the right pictures in those days. It was a long time ago, back in the late 90s. Wayne Roderick was still alive then.
yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
this is pretty deep pink. The one
You're
I
talking
have.
about the Lapigeria rosea?
Hmm.
As Oh,
Yeah,
I
they're
think of
both.
that as more red. That might be one of Martin's hybrids, because he did most of the work on the Lapigerias at UC Bot Garden.
Oh, yeah, I think that is a place in Chile that it was named after.
Well, when I went to Chile, they were not in bloom, which is disappointing, but that was in the middle of their summer, so it makes sense that they're blooming more in the winter here. It was in the kind of mid latitude at the kind of above the lakes region in the Nothofagus forest was when it was, or was supposedly growing. Okay, this is a gorgeous one. This looks like almost one of those botanical drawings. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. It's just a bulb I got this year, and so it's just amazing looking.
I've
Most of
tried
my
growing
other,
that in the ground, and I have other hippeastrums that are fine, but that one never made it.
yeah. I have another one that rebloomed for me, but after a long hiatus, with similar color but skinnier petals. And I have a whole lot on my deck outside that are all from previous Christmas gifts,
Right.
and several of them are reblooming. They all have leaves, so sooner or later, I imagine I'll get some flowers on them.
Yeah.
I know out here they bloom more in the summertime, or it seems like it anyway.
Or late spring for me.
Well, possibly, yeah. It's the warm season anyway, yeah. So is
There-
it blooming off cycle or is this just coming out of its?
Now, this one, well, they're always available to buy just before the holidays, and it was one I picked up, but it's growing inside. I didn't think it was quite ready for outside.
I have a red one growing in my backyard that's now this is on its third flower, and it's doing really well.
Blooming right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't get a picture of it,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah, I have the
that's
red one in on the balcony that's blooming.
nice.
The very typical ones. Some of them were wrapped in wax, and I carefully took the wax off and planted them. And they're coming back for an encore performance.
We have some
Nice.
on one of our streets here. Where there's somebody that has some in a health strip, and they're big cluster of them, and they bloom every year. But it's
Yeah.
just the regular one, the red one. There we go. Oh, okay, this is mine. Biden's. That's blooming for me pretty much all year round. I plant it in some of my containers, and it looks like it's kind of almost like a ground cover, so you don't really see the pots. You see the plants coming out of the ground covers. You don't have to deadhead it. It's perennial, has nice fine foliage. You can see it's kind of growing around out and beyond its pot edge there. Perennial. I would assume it may get out of hand if it's in the ground. Does anybody have any experience with that? Because I know it'll reroot and sometimes reseed, but not non-invasively at all in my garden.
Mine have reseeded in my pots.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved some of them into the ground because I have areas that I'm struggling to get something to grow at all. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the two of them that I put into the ground seem to be doing really well.
Okay.
And I'm so fascinated with them now because of the, Amarissa carries all these different colors of reds and red and yellow and so on. And I have one, and I just didn't have a good enough day to get the pictures to you, and I'm sorry, but it's really compact, and it starts out with a red center and yellow tips to the petals, and then fades to all red. And it's
Oh,
compact
nice.
and it blooms all the time. And I sent a picture up to Emerissa because I didn't see it this year, and I've lost my tags. And they haven't responded yet because I said, what one is this? Because it's just it's the best performer I have. So if
Nice.
anybody wants to come out and get cuttings, you're welcome to do so.
Hey, thank you for that. Yeah, they have all sorts of different kind of versions of reds-ish, kind of burgundy reddish or orange and yellows, which is nice, and all sorts of hybrids. And I understand the hybrids don't necessarily come back true to form when they reseed, fortunately.
Yeah, but then you might get something new and exciting too. You never
This
know.
is true. This is true. Okay, so the next one is I did go to Ruth Bancroft Garden, and this I think this is Hercules, this big, and maybe someone knows. I assumed it was Hercules, and then I was thinking, well, maybe it's not. But it's blooming at Ruth Bancroft Garden. It's about probably about 40 feet tall. It's pretty tall. I've never seen one bloom before. And I have one in a pot over to the left there. And I think it needs to be into a bigger pot or in the ground. But this is one of the tree aloes, and Ruth Bancroft Garden, and I'm sure the UC Botanic Garden is full of the aloes, which are blooming. A lot of them bloom in this time of year and into February and March. So you may want to go visit. Hercules is evidently a hybrid between Bainesii and Aloe dichromata. Anyway, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but
Dichotoma. Dichotoma.
there you go. Thank you very much. And then it's baby toes. I love this plant. I love the big daisy-like flowers with the really fine petaled, narrow petals. And I kind of like the shadow on the container on this one. But this is one of the window type plants where they kind of grows mostly underground and has the tips of the little leaves here have a window where they kind of photosynthesize inside This is a monotypic genus, this Fenestriaria. It had a couple blooms on it, and I think the flowers can kind of go from almost white to a darker yellow. And evidently it's from South Africa and it grows in sandy soils.
So how often do you water it?
Well, it's in with its other things, the euphorbia and the echeveria, and this time of year I haven't really watered it much at all. It's pretty in a pretty deep pot, but I always keep one on these hands because I love on hand because I love the little flowers, and I'm not a very regimented flower waterer, I must admit. So when
Well, just like nature. That's how nature is too. That's not regimented.
well, this is true. In the summertime I water more, and this time of year I don't water much. Anybody else have any comments on baby toes there?
So do you ever have a problem in the winter if we have a lot of rain? Or is this hiding under something not to get so much?
Well, most of mine are in containers, so and this one has doesn't have really broad width, so it doesn't get a lot of water probably to a certain extent because it's pretty full. I think that some of them have thinned out in the winter time if they've gotten a little bit too much water, yeah. But they're usually pretty hardy for me. But again, I don't water much in the winter time, so it's all nature.
I
And
think they're winter dry anyway, aren't they? That's the challenge.
okay. Yeah, I'm not I
Or cool season dry.
okay, so this is just kind of different textures in gray that's looks good now in the summertime. Again, I don't water out. This is out near the road. The dark green on the right is the Myrtus communis, and that's kind of a hedge separating the front of my garden to the back of my garden in the front. And then I have aloe arborescens, which is blooming or starting to bloom, but I cut off the top there. And then Salvia murray, which has a really pretty, I've showed it before, little, obviously salvia-like, kind of a purpley blue flower, and it blooms. Once it starts blooming in the spring, it blooms way into the fall. It's a really great bloomer, and it doesn't get any summer water at all. And then I have Bee's Bliss, which is a great bloomer and looks good pretty much year round, again, even without any water. And I'm out in Martinez, so it gets pretty hot. And then I have Artemisia Canyon Gray, which kind of cascades down this little gully. I love that as well. It's nice, really fine texture, and it stays pretty good looking. It does get a little ragged toward the end of summer. And then the Yucca Whipplei, which has not bloomed for me. It gets big white flowers going up on a spike, but you don't want to be facing to the left on your rear end toward the yucca because it's very pointy and it's it'll catch you in the behind. So it's a disadvantage of having that in the ground because it is, or in the garden because it is quite needle-like. And then there's some then bulbs and stuff, just different textures and grays on that. And I think that's all I have for the plant forum. And then if anyone would like to open up their garden for coffee in the garden, Hort provides the coffee and the tea, and then people bring snacks and stuff for the morning, and it's usually on a Sunday, though it could be Saturday morning or even afternoon. Show off your garden. Everybody loves to look at gardens and talk plants with other plant people. People get inspiration and their particular space. So anyway, reach out to info@CalHort if you're wanting to do that. I would love to go see your garden. And then the seed exchange. Mary, do you want to talk about the seed exchange? I don't know when the deadline is or if it's already passed.
The seed exchange list has already been published in the January bulletin. So go through and pick out your favorites and send them in as soon as possible. We queue them by the date that we receive them. So those will be filled first and sequentially. And we'll probably, I think the cutoff is like end of February or sometime in February. Then we'll have a seed sorting group in March, and then the seeds will go out in March so that they get to everybody's hands before it gets too warm.
Okay, terrific. Many of the groups and many growers and stuff contribute to the seed exchange, and there's a quite extensive list in the bulletin. So pick out your seeds and try.
And we have places like UC Botanical Garden and other, Curious Flora, which used to be Annie's Annuals, sending us seed. And so, we get a great diversity of seeds, not just the common stuff. So yeah, I got oh God, I got some really beautiful stuff a couple of years ago that was packed in mush, but the donor knew exactly how to send that seed, and I ended up with some really beautiful plants out of it. Some Magnolia stellata, very pretty.
Oh, nice. We can get some unusual stuff too, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. And thank you for organizing and keeping tabs and you and Barbara doing that.
Mhm.
And then there's a couple things coming up. I did get confirmation that Kip McMichael's going to do another Calicortis
Yay.
field trip. That was awesome. Last year we went to Piscines and down by Hollister and across to Highway 5 and back up Mines Road and stuff. And we had a great time looking at Calicortis. So this year we're going to go to north to Lake Berryessa to see the Calicortis along that way. And Kip knows all the hot spots, so that's really great fun to go with him. And then everybody's all really excited. Last year we had to limit it because of you couldn't really pull off the road. So I'm not sure what the particulars of this particular venture will be, but we will find out as we get a little closer. He just confirmed the date, but we haven't really gotten all the details yet. And then February's Western Hort meeting is on Lincoln's birthday, the 12th. And it's Jim Salyard, who's director of the Filoli Estate, and he's going to be presenting the Garden Lovers Tour of the English Gardens and many lessons he learned. That should be fun. That's an in-person one, and they meet down in, I guess it's Palo Alto. So it's a little bit of trek, but they go to dinner in the beforehand, so you can contact them if you want to go to dinner with them or go on your own, or if you're interested in going, pair up with someone and carpool down. Okay, then I understood that Bart, who's was past president at Cal Hort, was doing a New Zealand plants and gardens presentation to the Tilden Botanic Garden. Has a great lecture series, and I believe they're free. I'm pretty sure they're free. So I wanted to publicize that, which is March 1st, and a couple of us went on that. Dotson and myself went on that trip, and then Judy and Tosh and quite a few Cal Hort members went on that. So he'll be presenting on March 1st on Saturday. And then we're talking about Calicortis. So Dee Himes and I understand her and her husband, longtime Native Plant Society folk, and have been, I guess, stalking out Calicortis for I don't know how long, probably decades. Anyway, she's going to be presenting Calicortis Treasure Hunt on February 22nd, which I guess is Washington's birthday, huh? So that would be something you may be interested in. And then Panayote Gladys is presenting, and this one is the California and Colorado Connection, which is on January 25th. So anyway, all those sound like great programs. If you're interested, you might want to take note. They're on their website. So, and then February 17th is Ellen Shea. Heather, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so Ellen is a really wonderful pruner. And I've actually been to another one of her talks. It was an in-person demonstration a while back, and she was just a great teacher. And she is working on something a little bit different than what I've ever been taught about pruning. It's prescriptive pruning. So it's sort of interesting just to learn a little bit about how she goes about it. And yeah, it's different than the things that I've learned in the past. So I'm looking forward to it. So if any of us are looking to prune our fruit trees or anything, I think that she'll be a great help to us.
Thanks for coming.